Get in! What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today we're going to be doing a part 2 of the little series I've got going of when a certain position should use skills. Now, we've done a video on when a defender should use skills. Now we're going to look at wingers, and I think wingers are the most important because they're most likely to use skill. They have the best position to use skill going forward in attacking position. Now, if we don't know what this series is about and why I've started it, basically I teach you guys a lot of skills and I teach you how to do them and how effective they can be in a game situation. But if you don't know the timing and the whereabouts of when you should use the skill in what position, then it's kind of useless, because if you use skills in the wrong position, you can end up losing the ball, and then the opposition can maybe counterattack, and then it would be all your fault, and you can then blame me because I told you to do the skill. But no, either way, this is why I'm here to teach you today, because I want to teach you when to use the skill and what are the right times. And I've got a few examples that we're going to go through together, and some skills that you may or may not have seen from past videos. But either way, let's get into it. Now, the first point we're going to talk about is isolating a defender. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's basically getting a defender 1 versus 1. And if you guys hear in the matches that I upload most of the games that we play. If you guys want to check that playlist out, it's in the description. But yeah, if you hear in them games, you'll hear a lot of us shouting 1 versus 1 to either me, Phil, whoever's up front at that point. What this means is beat them. It means take them on, get past them, use a skill, whatever you need to do to beat that person. It means there's no other people around you, although you should be aware of that on the pitch. Now, I've got a few examples to show you from the matches just in a second, but when we get them 1 versus 1, we know that if we beat that player, we're going to make space or make an opportunity to maybe pass it off and have a shot, or beat them and then have a shot, whatever it is after that. But if you take that person out the game, that's one less defender that you've got to worry about, and that's why we do it. That's why we isolate the defender, and this is why we're scoring so many goals this year, because it's working, especially in the 4-3-3 formation that we're playing. Now, I'm not trying to make this just about our team. This is just examples from our games. Obviously, I have the footage from this year, and obviously I can relate to it a lot more than I could relate to one of your games that I haven't seen. But for you guys, this will work as well. If you're playing right mid, left forward, right wing, left wing, it doesn't matter. As long as you're a winger, isolating a defender can be so effective and get your team goals. Now, let's move into the examples. Alright, so for the first example, we have Phil on the left wing here. He's isolated number 2. He's drawn him in, done his skill, beat him. 2 players are on him, then he's passed the ball. Now, that bit's very vital right there. If you've isolated your player, then you know you're going to beat them. The other defenders are probably going to know that as well, and they're going to try and get round and cover. And as soon as that happens, that's the time to have a shot, pass the ball off, whatever you need to do after that, because as soon as there's 2 players on you, there's a good chance that you're going to get tackled. Where a lot of people go wrong is they'll beat one person and then they think they can take on the world, which, you know, I'm a culprit of that as well. But sometimes I'll beat one person and I'll think, okay, I can beat the next one. It's best to just beat one person, then pass the ball off, have a shot, do whatever you need to do, and carry on with the game. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad idea to go and beat 2 or 3 players, but in this circumstance and in many circumstances, once you've beat the first man, play the ball off, lay it off, have a shot, and then you know you've done your job properly. You've took a player out the game, and then you've played a pass in or had a shot and made a chance. A lot of these examples you're going to see are going to be me and Phil, who play for Wolverhampton, but that's just because we've mainly played on the wing when we played a 4-3-3. Even when we played 4-4-2 a couple of times, me and Phil ended up left mid and right mid. So this next example is me on the right hand wing. I'm coming in, I do the inverted elastico and break out and then play the ball in. The ball wasn't great, but I've made that space, I've made the extra yard, and I've tried to get it across. I should have went back post, but either way they end up clearing it out. Again, you can see I've isolated my player 1 versus 1. I've pretended to go one way, drop the shoulder, little inverted elastico. Wasn't the best of skills, but it worked. Got an extra yard, tried to play the ball in, and I've created a chance. Same game again, we've got Phil on this left hand side against number 2 once again. He takes him inside, he's isolated him, step over, gone, and there's your yard there. We should really score from here. He plays it across and the keeper does really well to push it away. But either way, again, he's isolated his player, he's took the player on, played it across, made his chance, and that's all he needs to do. He didn't need to go and do anything flair after that. Okay, so this one's a bit different. I was actually going back towards my own goal this time, but I was on the wing and I was doing the skill towards the line. Now, you'll see a lot of wingers doing the skill towards the line because they know it's safest. If they do lose the ball, then all they have to do is make a tackle and put it out for a throw-in, and then they can get their team to reset and regroup, and then they're not in any trouble. That's why wingers are very lucky to get away with a lot of skills they do, because if they don't come off, they're right near the line, they can make a tackle, put it out, reset. Whereas if you do it in the centre midfielder, or if you do it like towards your own goal, then it's not going to be too good good, because then if you lose it, the team are going to counter and maybe get a goal, and it's going to be your fault. So that's why wingers have got more opportunity to use skills. And in this instance, I actually went backwards towards my own goal. I used the roulette and I was safe, and then I played it off. I didn't need to do anything after the guy pulled my shirt, possibly a foul, but either way I was nice and comfortable. I kept the ball, I played it off, and then we ended up just keeping the ball after that. So that's all you need to do. Beat your player, isolate them 1 versus 1. There was no one else around me. If there was, I wouldn't have done it, and then I played it off. Okay, so the same game, but the second half. So this time it looks like I'm going back towards my own goal like last time, but I'm not. I'm actually attacking this time. The ball's being cleared out by them. I've controlled it down. I was aware of my player, which we'll move on to awareness in a little bit, but I've took the player on knowing he was going to come into me, and I've gone and attacked. We've done a little 1-2 after, and then we nearly created a chance as well. But I did the skill again, took it inside, played it off, did my part, and I nearly got a 1-2 back for a chance in. But that's just very, very vital. If you isolate one player, take him out the game, and then move on to your next adaptation. If you want to do a 1-2, if you want to shoot, pass, whatever you need to do, just make sure you don't hang on to the ball too much, especially if you've done a skill, because then another defender's going to come and hit you because he thinks you're going to try and do a skill on them. So yeah, just make sure once you've done it, pass it off. You've isolated him, you've done your job, move on. Alright, so we've got Phil here on the left. What's he going to do? He's isolated his player, little step over, he loves that. A second player's come in, and then he's played the ball off. It's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. He's done his part, the second player's come in to close him down and win the ball, and then he's passed it off. Yeah, it didn't come to anything in the end, but it could have. He could have made a chance, and yeah, either way, he's done what he needs to do. So it's me on the left hand side here from a throw, and I've isolated my player, and he's took me down. We've won a free kick, and from that free kick, we actually managed to get a goal. I think Phil scored a header, and I flicked it on. So again, we created a chance after I'd done the skill. I didn't need to do anything else, and yeah, it worked perfect. This little bit's just chucked in because it's a bit of isolating and a bit of cruelty right there in the corner. We've isolated him, and we've both just toyed with the ball around him, but that's another way of isolating a player right there. And the last one, the ball's been played through to me, I believe from a goal kick. I'm running through, I know the defenders are going to catch me, so I've stopped, I've stood both of them up, I've isolated both of them, and then done the skill. They both set themselves up for isolation right there, because they were both in the same position, facing towards me. None of them were covering either side of each other. They were both standing in the exact same position, so I've isolated them both, done the skill, done them both, and unfortunately the keeper got a hand on the save, and yeah, it was a good save in the end. But either way, that's another way you can isolate more than one if they're in the same position. If they're covering each other, it's quite hard, but if you're going to get an isolation on two players, then that's your prime example right there. They're both in the exact same position, they're not helping each other, and they both got done by the same skill. So if that can happen in a game, then do it. It happens a lot in professional level, and yeah, you can do it at any level that you're playing at. I do want to say, if you guys want to message me, you can do it on Instagram. I can DM you personally if you've got any questions, because I know a lot of you guys ask questions in the comment section that I don't always see. So if you want to actually get your message out there, then go to my Instagram, which is @MikeyMcGee, and you can message me on there, and that's where we can have a talk and we can chat about what you need to improve and stuff like that. Alright, so they were examples of isolating the play and how it can work effectively. Now I just want to point out 4 different examples here that when we've tried to do a skill, we've realised we shouldn't and passed it off, or we shouldn't really do the skill because of the awareness and the surroundings of us. Now, so in this first example, we have Phil here on the left. He's pushing in the Anfield game, he's stood him up, he's done a step over, realised there's too many people around him, he's passed the ball off, and we've kept the ball. That was good realisation of when not to do the skill and to in fact play the ball and make a different angle and then try again later on. Another example right here, I believe it's me on the left hand side. I've stood my man up. Instead, I've seen the 1-2 as a better option, as there was a few players around me. Unfortunately, we didn't get anything from it, but again, the realisation of not doing the skill and playing the ball for a 1-2, and it ended up being the better option, I would say, in that situation right there. This instance a little bit different. I've actually done the skill, and to come off, I've won a free kick, but if you notice, the player on the back probably would have got there before me, which means I shouldn't really have done the skill. I should have been more aware of the defenders around me. And you might be wondering why I'm criticising myself, is because I like to criticise myself. I prefer that. I prefer to have a game where I can look at it and be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, I shouldn't have done that, than say like, oh, I did that really well, I did that really well. If your coach is telling you you're doing everything right, you're not going to improve. So you should always try and criticise yourself. If you're definitely looking back at stuff like this, like I can do, if you're recording your games or you can see yourself back on other things, then it's good, because you can criticise yourself, pull apart bits that you've done wrong, just like here. I shouldn't have done the skill, I got away with it because I won the free kick, it ended up being a nice skill, but I should have been more aware that the defender was coming around the back and they would have got there before me, and I actually would have lost the ball there. So just be careful where you're using the skills and make the right decisions at the right times. And the last one right here, I've received the ball, I've gone to use the roulette, realised there's a player around me, I've pulled it back and then passed it off there. I shouldn't have really been trying skills to going inside the player right there, into the middle of the field. If I was going to do a skill, I should have done it down the line, take it away from the defender, and that would have been a lot more comfortable. So again, just realise when you're using the skills, your awareness and what you should do in that moment. I shouldn't have done that skill, but I suddenly realised that I shouldn't, took a touch out and passed the ball. Now you might ask how to actually know when to use a skill and when not to use it, when's a bad decision, when's a good decision. It all comes down to your awareness of the game. Now that'll come with playing more games and more matches and just practice and stuff like that, especially when you're doing skills at home. If you're practicing them at home, that's perfect. If you're putting extra time into your skills than everyone else is doing at training, then you're going to be better at doing them. They're going to come more naturally in a game, and you're going to know the perfect time to use the skill. Now there's going to be times you're going to mess up, you're going to try a skill, it's not going to come off, or you're going to try a skill and 2 people are going to be on you and you weren't aware of that. That's going to happen. Like I said, it's happened to me, it's happened to everyone pretty much that tries skills. But the more you practice them, the better you're going to get at being more aware of when to use them and when not to use them, and the good decisions and the bad decisions. Just keep practicing. It's so vital to practice extra at home, at training, in games. Just use them as much as you can and you're going to become a better player, especially at using skills. Okay, so the last point I'm going to make on this is improvisation is very key. There's going to be a lot of times where you don't know if there's people behind you and you've got to make a decision, you've got to improvise, or there might be 1 or 2 people around you, and the only way to get out of it is to do a skill. And that's why these examples here are going to show you how improvisation can work. So this first skill here, I let it go through my legs. I don't know how close he is or what, but I end up getting away with it. Nice bit of improvisation. I end up playing the ball in and we got through onto the keeper, but the keeper made a good save in the end. At that point, I had to make a decision where I thought the ball was going to make it through my legs and get past them, and it did in the end. It actually did work, and I didn't know how close he actually was to me, so that was another thing right there. Sometimes a little bit of improvisation can get you a goal, can get you a chance, can create something, and that's why we use it. Another example right here, Jake's won the ball, he's played it into me. I know there's a play coming in on me, little touch out to the wide. I didn't know how close he was again, but that touch took it away from him towards the line, so if I did lose it, then it wasn't going to be so much of a problem. I could have just gone and tackled him and put the ball out again so we could reset. But a little bit of improv and I could take the ball past him. I ended up whipping the ball in, it landed to Heavy, and Heavy had a shot. The keeper saved it, but you know, it created another good chance. So I've got the ball against Harden here on the right wing. I've stood the player up, I've isolated my player, I've done well, I've tried to beat him, he's read my skill, so I've had to cut back and I've had to improvise, I've had to kill the time on the wing here just to make a pass. It was kind of more to get my team up the pitch more than anything, but the improvisation of keeping the ball, and obviously the fact that he read my skill was another thing right there. I had to cut back, and I know, you know what, I should play it off now. Even if you don't beat the player, you don't need to try and constantly keep beating him and beating him until you get it. If you know you've done your bit and you didn't beat him, okay, we'll start again, pass the ball off and go again. So we're on the far side this time. It's come off Robbie, he's played it into me. I've took a touch which is in the dangerous area, but I've roulette between both of them. Again, I didn't know exactly where they were going to end up, the players, but it worked out perfectly. I went right between them, I took it away from both players using one little turn, and I've got the ball back here and I've turned out once more and played it there. A little bit of improvisation, there was no kind of structure, no method to that. It was kind of just being aware of who's around me, little improvisation with the skill, and then obviously I got away from it and it worked quite nicely. So this next one you'll have seen already. I got the ball here, there's 2 people around me, there's a lot of people around me, so I played the ball for a 1-2, it didn't come off, but then literally 2 minutes later, not even 2 minutes, I've stood the same player up again. This time I've drawn him, I've isolated him, and then gone line and took both of them on there because they both read the same thing. Again, it didn't come to anything, but it could have created another chance and we could have got another goal. So that's just a little bit of improvisation for you. It could work for you. Like I say, it's just not always is there going to be a method, is there going to be a reason to do something, but there are a lot of the times where the balls come to you and you've just got to make a decision in a split second or two, and if you do it and it comes off, it looks great, but sometimes you will lose a ball. That's going to happen, but that's all a part of learning and trying the skills and stuff, so don't worry about that. Just as long as you're getting the right stuff at the right time and being aware of who's around you, that's the most important part.